So in the next step, I just want to go back to looking at the opportunities that emerge from looking at management through the lens that we have adopted here. And I want to share with you just the beginning of the course. We were looking very deeply at some of the concepts of human nature that we employ. Everything that we're doing in some way, the argument is, depends on the metaphor that we use and the understanding that we have about ourselves and of others. Because management and business and any of these things is about people, whether we want it or not, right? But it's about us. We're part of it. So how do we think about ourselves? And how do we think about others? And this predominant notion is oftentimes this, okay, we're Gordon Gekko, we're greedy, we have to be if we want to be successful, right? And especially in the American context, that's sort of almost a creed right now. And what we've seen in many ways, these challenges that we're observing for our species, for the human species, are so manifold that some people would say, you know, they're unsurmountable. It's like, it's doom. Tom Friedman of the New York Times would say, all right, this is sort of a way to just sort of say, I'm out of here. I'm either going to buy, if I have enough money, I'm going to buy a rocket and I'm going to go out, right? That's happening. Or if I don't have enough money, I'm going to drug myself because I can't stand it, right? Or maybe I think I just want to party. Right? So let's just enjoy while we can, while it lasts. So these are fundamentally cynical approaches to life and to management in many ways. And so the opportunity here is to look at management, at being human in a more life-affirming way, in a more enriching way, and saying, you know what, this is an enlivening way of looking at how I can be in the world, right? And the opportunity is that when you do that, when you look at life that way, you're typically happier, right? You feel better. You feel better. And you want to share that joy, right? Joy is contagious, right? Our emotions are contagious in some ways. Our actions are contagious. And so management can be an opportunity of aliveness, enlivenment. And not that many people think of it that way, but I just want to spell this out to you students, that this is a highest aspiration of me as the professor here, to sort of share this idea that this can be a fundamentally joyous task, management, organizing people, right? And I know that probably you feel that sometimes in your life, that this is actually exciting. This is great. This is enlivening, and it's something that you would want to do. Yeah, that is meaningful, that it has purpose, right? And that maybe engages people around you and saying, all right, this is a great organization. I want to work for that organization, right? I'm engaged. So employees are engaged in many ways. And then also beyond that, it's like, this is a great organization. If people see that as an organization like Patagonia, people trust it and say, oh, how great is that organization? I want that organization to succeed. So I'm going to go out of my way to pay for the products of this organization over any other organizations, no matter how much more expensive it will be, because it provides meaning and satisfaction on the four drives that we have: the drive to acquire, the drive to bond, the drive to comprehend, and the drive to defend. Because they're all connected. We're not just interested in just being sort of money maximizers and buying the cheapest products. We sometimes are, but there's more to it. Right? And then when we see organizations like Unilever or Patagonia or these other concepts, we can imagine a world where, you know, organizations are part of the solution, right? Businesses are part of the solution, where this is actually a reality that we can create and co-create, which is actually super exciting, right? And I think that many millennials, Generation Z, or whoever we want to call it, even adults of other generations, find it relevant and exciting to be part of the solution, right? It feels better.
Inclusive.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, so just like, what comes up for you as viewing management as an opportunity like that?
Well, I think, you know, when you think of it that way, it's more inclusive. You know, people feel like they are a vested stakeholder into the solving a problem. And I think, you know, that is empowering, that's motivating, and like, you know, it's passionate. It's all connected to that. And I think if you have that, you can really drive solutions to problems pretty more easily than you would just trying to get together or motivate people that are already motivated.
Yeah, I think what really is sort of coming up for me sort of harkens back to my background training in psychology, in that human beings are naturally relational people, and Bowlby in 1969 said we're incorporative by nature, and so we're used to incorporating each other and making each other a part of ourselves, making the other a part of ourselves, and so that having that idea in the context of a leader really is inspirational. It's this, and in fact, you mentioned the psychopathic sort of management style. I have never heard that before, but one of the things that we in the field of psychology that we consider is the extent to which you can demonstrate empathy. One of the hallmarks of psychopathy is to be divorced from empathy, to watch pain and not blink, and not feel anything, and to not respond to the pain, have no pro-social behavior to respond to the pain of others. And so I think that it resonates with me that we talk about switching that in terms of relationships and in terms of how we share space and how we share ideas, which sort of also gets at the meeting style. When we have our meetings, is it a level playing field? Do people feel compelled to share? And when we think about the concept of imagination relative to that, I wonder, if the solution or if the way forward is to not any longer worry about finding the answer, but to spend our time discussing ways to come up with better questions.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So it's getting deeply philosophical here, and I love it. I think those questions are meaningful questions, right? You're saying asking better questions. That may be part of better management. It's like, what do we care about? What problems are we trying to understand? What kind of questions are we approaching, right? And I think that oftentimes we can see that the current management and the business world, and maybe even society, is revolving out very trivial questions. How to be successful, how to make more money, how to show up on Twitter or on very superficial, and really in some way isolating people. I mean, I think that the insights of the psychologists in some ways, like, depression has never been higher, right? Anxiety has never been higher. We have been never more connected technologically, but more isolated and on a real human level. So tapping into the social nature, I think, is a very critical piece of understanding and shifting that mindset, because we are not who we think we are most often, right? We are not Gordon Geckos, we're not psychopaths. Even though psychopaths exist, and maybe they're overrepresented in current organizations, we don't need to emulate them, right? We actually might want to get them out of the organizations. We might want to get them out of power positions because they're damaging. They have no empathy, they don't care. And we're basically in a state of not caring, and an organized state of not caring about the planetary issues, the societal issues, and the dignity issues oftentimes, right? And so what management can be as an opportunity, I'm going to turn back to you as a student, is like what management can be is this opportunity of caring, of meaningful engagement, of creating solutions to problems that are intractable, that we don't necessarily have easy answers for, but maybe that we need to ask better questions to get at, and that we can do this collectively. None of us has the answer. None of us is a manager or a leader in itself. We are social. And I want you to think about the implications for that for you in the way that you can think about the opportunities for you as a manager going forward.